Hey everybody, it's Lisa Birmingham and I am so glad that you're here. Now I love decorating with flower arrangements. They bring such a bright, cheerful feeling to a room, and one of the flowers that I love to work with the most are orchids. They are so classy and they fit in with so many different styles and tastes and seasons. The only drawback to orchids is that they can be really pricey. Take for instance this arrangement that I found at Horchow. On the website, it was $450 for 2 stems. That's gonna be a no from me, so I thought I would use it as an inspiration piece so I could make this orchid arrangement for $14, which is a much more reasonable price. Now I knew that the most difficult part of this arrangement was going to be finding a similar container to my inspiration piece. So I hit up my local thrift store and I found 2 separate pieces. The first piece is a candlestick. It is the perfect size and shape. It's really heavy and it's going to be a great base for my container. The best part is that it was only $2.99. And as I kept looking through the shelves, I found this lovely glass bowl that had an offset top that fit into my inspiration piece perfectly. It was $3.99, and I thought if I put this large bowl on top of my candlestick, it will make a perfect container that mimics the inspiration piece very nicely. Now, I'm not going to glue my 2 pieces together because I want to have the option to use them separately later on, and they're heavy enough that they'll stay together and I'm not going to move them around a lot, so there won't be a lot of shifting. However, if you did find 2 pieces that you wanted to glue together, I would recommend using E6000. To replicate the foam that's in the bottom of my container, I'm using some foam that I already have. Now, if you have foam that's been previously used and has a couple of holes in it, don't toss it out, reuse it, it'll still work. That's what I'm doing here. I'm using some pieces that I previously used that had a few holes in it. That's not a big deal. My flowers will still stay in the foam really nicely. So I'm going to take a square of foam and add a second piece on top of it. And then I'm going to use some floral pins, and I'm going to put some floral pins on each side of my square piece of foam. And then I'm going to take a sharp knife and carve the top piece of the foam into a dome shape that mimics the shape of the foam on my inspiration arrangement. Next, I'm going to place some moss on the surface of the foam. This moss is from the Dollar Tree. I already had it, so again, it's not going to cost me any extra money. I spread the moss out on each side except for the bottom of the foam until it was completely covered. I secured the moss to the foam, again using some floral pins. If you don't have floral pins, you could use hot glue and that would attach the moss to the foam as well. Because this foam is freestanding in my container, I was afraid that once I added the florals to it, that it would topple over or shift. So to combat that foreseeable problem, I added a dab of hot glue into the bottom of the container, and then I took my square of foam and I pressed it into the hot glue and held it there until it dried. Now, the thing about hot glue is that if I wanted to use this container later on for a different project, I could just peel back that hot glue and the container would be good as new. My video is part of the Look for Less challenge that is hosted every month by Yami, the Latina next door. Yami does some really great DIYs and some really fantastic Look for Lesses on her channel. And her co-host this month is Nicole from the Week's Nest. Nicole is so sweet and she does some wonderful crafting over on her channel. She takes some Dollar Tree items and makes them look like $1 million. So I will leave a link to both Yami and Nicole's channel in the description box below, as well as a link to the playlist so you can see all of the other Look for Lesses that all of the participants came up with. Now that our foam is in place, it's time to add our leaves and our florals. We'll start off with the leaves. These leaves are actually magnolia leaves, but they look just like orchid leaves to me. And I already had them, so I'll save myself some more money that way. So what I did was I got some snips and I trimmed off the top 4 leaves that were on the stem, and then I took those leaves and I poked them into the foam, and then I styled the leaves around so they looked like my inspiration piece. Now it's time to add our beautiful orchid stems. Now I got these orchid stems at Michael's. They were $5.99 a piece. However, on the day that I went, all of the florals were 40% off, and on the day that I went, I had a coupon for an additional 20% off of my entire purchase. And so I'm gonna get my receipt here. It says that for both of my floral stems, I spent $7.19, which is a great deal because orchid stems can be really expensive. So I'm gonna round that down. Hope you guys are okay with that. We'll just say it was $7 for these 2 stems of orchids. So what I did with these orchids was I took them and I began to bend them. The first one down on the bottom, I bent it into an arch so it looked like the piece that was in my inspiration, the same beautiful arch, and then I placed it into the front side of my floral foam. And then for the taller stem in the back, I just arched the top part so it was nice and tall and just had a little arc at the top, and then I poked that into my floral foam in the back. Now I have to say it was really nice to have an inspiration piece to duplicate because I knew exactly where to put my floral stems, I knew exactly how to curve them, I knew the exact number of leaves that I needed. So if you have seen a flower arrangement that's way out of your price range but you really want it, then just take it and use it as your inspiration piece. Or if you're a novice floral arranger and you really want to get started, mimicking a flower arrangement that you've seen that you really love is a great place to start. If this is the first time visiting my channel, welcome. I'm Lisa. I do DIYs and home decor on my channel. I also love doing a lot of flower arranging. In fact, I did another orchid flower arrangement this summer that was larger than this one. So if you like flower arranging, if you like DIYs and home decor, then I would love to have you join me. So please subscribe. Now I knew that the trickiest part to this arrangement was going to be these sticks. My inspiration piece, the sticks were acrylic. I couldn't find anything like that, so I opted just to paint some Wooden Dowels white, and I think it looks fantastic. It's not a big deal to switch things out. So luckily I had these Wooden Dowels at home. I just found them in my craft stash, and I got them out and I decided that they needed to be painted. So I took them outside and I poked them into some of this foam. This is gonna be great because it's gonna hold my Wooden Dowels upright. So when I spray paint them, I can get around the entire wooden dowel and it's not gonna rub against the ground or have any smudging. So if you have a piece of foam, this is a great way to get an even coat on your dowels. So I spray painted it with some chalk paint that I got at Walmart. I did a few coats and then I let it dry for about 20 minutes, and then I took the sticks out of the foam, turned them upside down so that the bare part was at the top, and then I sprayed those so the entire sticks were white, and then I let them dry completely, which for me was overnight. Now I needed 3 separate pieces of wooden dowel. One for the back, one for the front, and then one that went horizontally across the center. So I kind of eyeballed how I thought the lengths should be, and then I clipped them with some clippers. And then I added the tall stick to the back next to my tall orchid stem, and then placed the shorter piece in the front. Next, I took the second wooden dowel and held it in front of the arrangement until I got a length that was about right, and then clipped it to size. To attach my dowels together, I'm using some thin white ribbon. Now I just took a segment of this ribbon, it was about 3 to 4 inches, and then I held it around the 2 pieces of the dowel, and then I tied the ribbon in a knot and then wrapped the ribbon tightly around the 2 pieces of dowel. When I got to the end of the ribbon, I tied it into a knot to secure it together, and then I cut off the excess ribbon. Now I replicated this process down on the lower one. I took my segment of ribbon, I tied it around the dowel into a knot, wrapped it around a couple times, tied it in a knot to secure it when I was finished, and then snipped off the excess ribbon. Now, I can't believe how great this arrangement turned out. In my opinion, it looks really similar to the inspiration piece. I don't know, what do you think? Does it look like the inspiration piece to you? The best part about this arrangement was, of course, the price. By using a few thrifted items, some orchid stems that I got on sale, and some items that I found around the house, it only ended up costing me $14, which is a $436 savings, which I can definitely get behind. Now, if you've seen an arrangement that's out of your budget, go ahead and make it yourself and get the look for less. Thank you so much for watching.